Yo, what's up, everyone? It's your boy Flintstone X-Men, and welcome to my channel, the FPL Stats. So, guys, for today's video, we'll be talking about a tale of two cities. We'll be talking about Zinchenko's replacements. As you know, those of us who have been holding Zinchenko since day one, our biggest fear has come into fruition. Benjamin Mendy is back and Benjamin Mendy is fit. And you know what happens when Benjamin Mendy is back and Benjamin Mendy is fit? Benjamin Mendy is on the starting lineup. That's what happens. So, game week 6, Zinchenko was not even on the bench. I mean, we were properly dealt with. Those of us who've been holding Zinchenko, we knew this day was going to come and the day is upon us. Guys, before I focus on today's topic, I obviously have to look at my performance in game week 6. And what can I say? Your boy didn't do too badly. 82 points, that's not too bad. 82 points is not too bad. I mean, the average was 52. I did take a -4 hit, which was a masterclass of a move. I'll explain the move to you. So basically what I did was I had Firmino in my team and I had Sterling in my team, and I needed to make one move. Well, two moves equal to one. I needed to let go of Sterling and I needed to bring in Aguero. So I tossed Sterling, I put in Son. You know, when you have the Son in your team, you know what happens. And then I transferred Firmino for Aguero because I needed to captain Aguero in this game, in game week 6. I needed to captain Aguero in game week 6. And what a move. I mean, because Sterling didn't even make the team. He was just on the bench. He didn't even play 1 second. Actually, I was kind of hoping that he would play like at least 1 second, because a lot of my people that I'm competing with, they had Sterling in their team as their captain, and if he played at least like 2 minutes, then they were gonna lose because they had De Bruyne as their vice captain. So I was kind of hoping, but anyways, I mean, you have to wish your opponents well. So I'm glad on their behalf that Sterling didn't play. So I got 82 points, and which wasn't bad. And just to summarize the performance, again, it ties in with our theme, guys. It's a tale of two cities. And what do we mean by that? De Bruyne, 10 out of 10 performance, 17 points. Aguero, almost a 10 out of 10 point performance with 9 points. I mean, Aguero should have gotten a hat-trick, guys. How many chances do you need as a top striker to get a hat-trick? I mean, you could see he was visibly upset with the fact that he didn't get a hat-trick because he got so many chances. So now to look at my performance from the back, Ryan, 10 points. Oh, I mean, I've been holding Ryan since day one. And this is the second game week where he's holding a double digit for me, which is great because I've been holding this guy for a while. And then I was one of the lucky ones when it comes to my backline. I was one of the 400,000 who were lucky. And what do I mean by that? I mean 400,000 managers, including me, had Zinchenko in their starting lineup and Landstrom as their first sub. We were lucky because Zinchenko didn't play, but Landstrom got 12 points, and then, you know, Landstrom got subbed in for Zinchenko, and you know what happened. That's an extra 12 points because Landstrom got an assist and a clean sheet plus all 3 bonus points. I mean, I've been holding this guy since day one. I've been holding Landstrom since day one. It's about time I get some returns. And then another one who had a good performance was Alexander-Arnold. Oh my word. I've been holding this guy since day one. I've been holding him since day one. You must watch my videos from like game week 1, you will see. I said you need to have Alexander-Arnold in your team. Whatever happens, you need to have Alexander-Arnold in your team. He scored a sweet goal. That was such a beautiful goal. Unfortunately, he lost the clean sheet because of N'Golo Kante. But anyways, I mean, 7 points is not too bad. And then Soyuncu, 2 points. I mean, you don't expect much when it comes to defensively for Leicester, but I have to say I've been holding Soyuncu for quite a while, and he's quite solid. He's very solid at the back. And I mean, Leicester City are going to start keeping clean sheets. Who knows? They're going to start keeping clean sheets. I'm holding on to this guy. And then I've already spoken about the masterclass from De Bruyne. I also had Mount in my team. And I've already spoken about Son. You know, Son, you know what happens, man, when you got Son in your team. Consistent performance, 5 points. Cantwell also played. Unfortunately, he was playing against Burnley. And you know, Burnley, they shut it down. They got those buses, man. They got like 1 bus, 2 bus, and they shut it down. And then I had Salah in my team. You know, Walala was Salah. If you ain't got Salah in your team, I don't know what the hell you're doing. I don't know what you're doing. And then up front, Aguero, 18 points. He was my captain. And then Pukki, 2 points. I mean, 82 points is not too bad. I'm number 1 in one of my leagues, and then I've moved up to number 7 in my work league. I'm on my way there. Just to talk about today's video, replacements for Zinchenko. As you know, we are a channel that focuses on stats. It's all based on stats. I look for good teams, and then I look for good players in good teams. But the order is good teams and then good players, not just good players and then it's the other way around. So the first thing I normally look at is the FPL difficulty rating, because I mean, it's important to have players from teams that have like good run of fixtures. Bearing in mind that we're looking for a replacement for Zinchenko. So when it comes to the FPL difficulty rating, for the next 3 games, Chelsea and Aston Villa are at the top. They only have green fixtures from Gameweek 7 to Gameweek 9. Chelsea in particular, they have Brighton at home, Southampton away, and Newcastle at home. And maybe, depending on how you want to play your game, if you're looking for an option to replace Zinchenko, perhaps you could look for one of the defenders from Chelsea. But guys, we all know Chelsea have been shipping in goals this season. I mean, they've been conceding on average about 2 goals per match this season. So if you want defensive players from Chelsea with the perspective of them keeping a clean sheet, good luck, buddy. That's all I gotta say. Good luck. But on the other hand, if you're looking for defensive players, based on their front foot, based on their attacking abilities, then maybe having a Chelsea defender is not such a bad idea. And then the next team, which was tied at the top when it comes to the FPL difficulty rating, is Aston Villa. They have Burnley, Norwich, and then they have Brighton. They have a very good run of fixtures. So maybe having one of their defenders is not such a bad idea. And then the other 3 teams were Spurs, Norwich, and Burnley. But guys, we know about Norwich and especially Spurs. They have not been keeping clean sheet. I mean, Spurs have been disappointing. I've been one of those people that have been saying, be careful if you want a Spurs defender. I mean, so many people had Aurier last week, and they thought he was going to keep a clean sheet. And guess what? He ain't not going to keep a clean sheet. But they have a good run of fixtures, and who knows? They have 2 home games in their next 3 games. Who knows? Maybe they might keep 1 or 2 clean sheets. And Aurier did look outstanding going forward. His goal was disallowed because of like inches offside. Someone was inches offside. So unfortunate for him, but I think he's a good option when you are focusing more on the attack-minded defenders. And then Norwich, I don't even want to talk about them because I think they concede the most amount of goals in the league. Well, the second most next to Watford, if I'm not mistaken. And Burnley, guys, Burnley have made it to this list, and Burnley have been quite solid at the back. They're keeping it tight. They've got those 2 buses at the back. They're not playing around. Burnley's not playing around. Maybe having Peters in your team is not a bad idea, because they have Villa, They have Everton at home. I don't think they want to keep a clean sheet, but Everton have been poor going forward. And then they have Leicester. I don't think they want to keep a clean sheet. Maybe if they keep a clean sheet, it will be in the Everton game. Aston Villa game. And then the next thing I focused on was trying to identify those defensively sound teams. The first thing I looked at when searching for those defensively sound teams, I looked at goals, teams that have conceded the least amount of goals in their past 3 game weeks. And at the top of the pile was West Ham and Liverpool. West Ham in their past 3 games have conceded a total of 0 goals. And Liverpool have conceded a total of 0.7 goals in their past 3 matches. Liverpool could have kept Liverpool were unfortunate to concede the goals they conceded. Because, they concede goals in the dying minutes. Against Arsenal, they conceded a goal in the dying minute when they were already leading 3-0. And then against Chelsea, they also conceded a goal late when they were leading 2-0. So, to be honest, Liverpool have been unfortunate to concede. This number should be lower. So perhaps having a defensive option from Liverpool is a good idea. But I already know that a lot of people have either Van Dijk or Alexander-Arnold or Robertson. My advice is you need Alexander-Arnold in your team. And you probably need Robertson in your team. He's cheap now. He's 6.9. And then again, while searching for those defensively sound teams, guys, I then obviously looked at teams that conceded the least amount of goals versus their next 3 opponents last season. And at the top of the pile, as you would expect, is Manchester City and Liverpool, because last season these guys were not conceding anything. And versus their next 3 opponents, Manchester City last season they only conceded once. And Liverpool again, versus their next 3 opponents, they only conceded once. Obviously, Sheffield United was not in the league last season. So versus Leicester and Man U, they conceded in one of those games. And then Chelsea last season, versus their next 3 opponents, only conceded 0.5 goals per match. That is, they conceded 1 goal in these 3 games. Essentially, they conceded 1 goal in these 3 games. So perhaps having a defensively minded player from Manchester City is not such a bad idea, given the fact that last season they basically didn't concede anything against the teams they'll be playing against. So perhaps maybe it's not a bad idea. Maybe it's not a bad idea. And given that Zinchenko is out, guys, let's be bold. What if we just go for Mendy? What if you have the funds, what if you just go for Mendy? He's cheap. He's 5.9. He's cheap. He's really cheap. But now the question mark on Mendy is how long is he going to be fit for? That's the only question mark. And then the next obvious player to look at from a City perspective is obviously Mendy, because for centre backs these guys are struggling. I think he's the only fit centre back, because everyone else is in the nurse's room, is in the doctor's room. They're playing Fernandinho there at the back, so I suppose Mendy is a really good option. And then I've already spoken about Liverpool and I've already spoken about Chelsea. I don't really advise for you to put defensive players from Chelsea unless you're focusing on their attacking attributes. And then the next thing I looked at, guys, was the expected goals against. This is one of those very important statistical tools that we use when you analyze football matches, which is based on a lot of things. Just say it's the amount of goals that in the past couple of games that they should have been conceding. When you look at Man United, they are at the top of this pile. Their expected goals against was or is 0.6 for their past 6 games. It means they are not allowing their opponents to create those clear-cut scoring opportunities. And Leicester again, they were second on this table with 0.9. Manchester City obviously had to make it to this list because they obviously wouldn't allow teams to create a lot of chances against them. And then Liverpool with 1.1. The interesting thing about this is that Liverpool have conceded 0.7 goals per match, right? And their expected goals against is 1.1. So it means that Liverpool, essentially the teams have not been taking their chances well. An example is the chance that Abraham had. He had a clear-cut 1-on-1, and he either should have scored or he should have passed to Mount, who was like facing an open net. So that's an example that the teams that are playing against Liverpool are creating chances, but they're just not taking them. Unfortunately, what that means is that eventually they'll play against a team who's going to take their chances. So maybe if you are putting in Liverpool defenders, just understand that maybe them keeping clean sheets is not the highest of priorities, right, for those defenders. That's why I would focus more on the attack-minded defenders instead of putting in Van Dijk, because if you have Van Dijk in your team or Matip in your team, I think you're gonna struggle versus having a Robertson or especially a Alexander Arnold. And then the other team which made it to this list was Everton, because the expected goals against was 1.1. This was the reason why I personally didn't have Digne in my team, because everyone had Digne in their team because they said Everton have a good run of fixtures, they're going to keep clean sheets. And then I was like the only one who was saying, but they're not going to keep clean sheets. If you get Digne into your team, because Digne is going to get you some attack points, not for defensive points. But so that's how it goes. And then the next thing I did was I have my own proprietary calculation. I'm throwing English right at you. Proprietary calculation of expected goals against. And according to my calculation of expected goals against, West Ham is at the top of this pile with 0. But obviously that 0 is weighted more towards their performance this season. But when you look at the teams that they'll be playing, because they'll be playing Bournemouth, who have been scoring almost 2 goals per match. They'll be playing Crystal Palace at home, who have been scoring at least a goal per match. And they'll be playing Everton, who've been scoring at least 1 goal per match. So what I think is going to happen with West Ham is that they're going to concede 2 goals against Bournemouth away. And then they're going to keep a clean sheet against Crystal Palace at home. And then they're going to concede 1 goal against Everton away. So giving us a 1 goal per match. But they're going to keep at least 1 clean sheet. And then the next team, which is at the top when it comes to expected goals against, is Liverpool. Liverpool is at the top, which is weird based on what I was saying earlier on. Based on their past performance this season, the expected goals against was 1.1, and the expected goals, according to my calc, going forward is 0.5. So essentially what that means for me is that they're going to concede in one of their next 3 matches. So they're going to concede once in their next 3 matches, and they're going to keep 2 clean sheets. Probably they want to keep a clean sheet against Sheffield, and then they are it's a half and half, 50% chance that they'll keep a clean sheet against Leicester. And then they're probably going to concede against United, which is the one game they will concede. Again, Liverpool is coming up. This is like the 3rd time Liverpool came up on these lists. And then Leicester and Chelsea also came up on this list, and I've spoken about Chelsea that maybe your focus should be on their attack-minded defenders instead of their defensive players, because although my calculation is saying that they are probably going to concede 0.6, it's probably going to be more, because if you look at their form this season, it's probably going to be like more. It's going to be closer to like maybe 0.7, which means they are most likely going to concede against Southampton and Newcastle at home, and then maybe they'll keep the one clean sheet against Brighton. So maybe for a 1 week punt, you could put in that guy. What's his name? That Chelsea defender, Tomori, as a 1 week punt. Because anyways, I wouldn't get Tomori for like forever, because what will happen when the Chelsea defenders, the other defenders are back and fit? I don't know if he's gonna play, or he might be rotated. Okay guys, and then again on the topic of searching for defensively minded teams, I went and I looked at teams that concede the least amount of shots on target. And at the top of this pile, as you would expect, Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool have only been conceding 1.7 shots on target, which is like, that's like if you're not letting teams take shots against you, it means the likelihood of them scoring is like quite minimal. And then the next two teams which were tied for second was Chelsea with 3 and City with 3. It's weird. Chelsea concede 3 shots on target per match, and they concede 2 goals per game. So which means they concede clear-cut chances. What's their expected goals against? I see they're not even in the top 5 when it comes to the expected goals against, which means the expected goals against is at least more than 1.5. So no. Yeah. So don't even bother stressing yourself about the fact that they concede few shots, which means they're not going to concede a lot of goals. No. Of the few shots on target they concede are clear-cut chances. That's why they concede like 2 goals per match. And then City was tied second in this table with also 3. So having a City defender in your team, defensively minded defender in your team, is not such a bad idea. I mean, given the fact that they concede so few shots on target, and given the fact that last season they conceded 0.3 goals per match versus their next 3 opponents. Okay guys, enough about focusing on the defensive end of the spectrum. So now I then went looking for teams and players who are defenders but who are more attack-minded players. I looked at an interesting statistic, which is the amount of time spent in the attacking third. And the team that spent the most amount of time in the attacking third were, as you might expect, Manchester City with 38% and followed by Liverpool with 35%. And so obviously having like attack-minded players from these teams is a pretty good idea. Or even having like defensive-minded players in these teams is also not such a bad idea, because I mean, if for a majority of the game, the game is played in the opponent's defensive third, it means that the chances of them conceding shots and chances of them eventually conceding goals are significantly lower. So you could like opt in for defensive players from these teams as well, much as you should consider their attack-minded defenders. I hope that makes sense. And then the next thing I looked at was obviously defenders that put in a lot of crosses into the box. And at the top of this pile, guys, which is an insane number, Trent Alexander-Arnold was at the top of this pile. This kid makes 10 crosses per match. That's ridiculous. 10 crosses per match. And obviously we know he's on corners and he's also on certain free kicks. I mean, his goal was wonderful. His goal was great. And then he is followed by Lucas Digne with 8.5 crosses per match. That is ridiculous. The one negative I have about that number is that who is Lucas Digne crossing to? Guess who he's crossing to? He's crossing to Iwobi. I mean, seriously, he's crossing to Calvin Lewis. I mean, really, he's crossing to Richarlison, whom I don't think is a very good header. So all these people that he's crossing to are not prolific goal scorers. That's the unfortunate part. That's why I advise against having Lucas Digne in your team. I personally advise against it. I mean, because his team is going to concede 1 goal per match on average. I mean, and much as even though he takes a lot of crosses, to whom is he crossing to? That's the question. To be or not to be? That is the question. So for me, it's a not to be. And then the next player was Robertson with 6 crosses per match, which is again ridiculous. And then he was followed by Jose Holebas and with 5 crosses per match. And then what I did, guys, was I looked at Mendy's performance. He's gonna be an honorable mention to this. I looked at Mendy's performance. He played half a match, played 45 minutes. In those 45 minutes, although his team scored 8 goals, he still made 4 crosses. So had he played a full 90 minutes, he would have made like 8 crosses. He was going to make it to this list, right? He was going to be number 3 on this list. So again, guys, I'm posing this question. Should we or should we not put Mendy into our teams? Should we or should we not put Mendy into our teams? I mean, if you are brave enough and you have the funds, plus it's cheap this year, maybe you must. So guys, on my final note as to who you should consider as replacements for Zinchenko, assuming you haven't already done so, depending on what you want to do, right? If you are fine, if you have the funds and you are brave, you are a man, you are a woman of kahunas, maybe considering Mendy is not a bad idea, right? And if you want to keep your squad mainly as it is and you just want a representation of a City defender from a defensive point of view, given that against their next 3 teams last season they only conceded 0.3 goals per match, and they are conceding amongst the least amount of shots on target, right? And their expected goals against is also very, very low. So I would say maybe Otamendi is what you should be focusing on. Maybe Otamendi is the guy whom you should be putting into your team, right? Yeah, Otamendi he's a very good option. On the other hand, right, if your focus, if you have a bit of funds and your focus is on the attacking end of the spectrum and you don't already have Alexander Arnold, yes, there's the fear of rotation, but I mean, if he's being rotated, it will only be like once in a while, one game. Gomez will play once in a while. I'll go for Alexander Arnold if you already don't have him. And if you are missing that 0.2, because currently Alexander Arnold is 7.1, he's going up as well. He'll be going up. I'm guessing before the end of this week, he'll be 7.2. I would also consider maybe Robertson, because I mean, he's putting in good performances. He's really putting in good performances. So I'd consider Robertson. And then if you are brave and you are looking for a differential option, I would look at one of the Chelsea defenders, especially the attack-minded ones. As a 1-week punt, I could put Tomori in because they'll be playing against Brighton. But the unfortunate part is that I would need to then sub him out. But the nice thing about Tomori, guys, is that he's 4.5 million. That's the thing about Tomori. It's 4.5 million. 4.5 million. Sure. When I say that out loud, I'm thinking now, sure, should I consider him? I mean, these guys are going to keep clean sheets at some point. But they've been shipping in goals left, right, and center. So, yeah. So anyways, guys, yeah, those are my final thoughts. And once again, thank you for watching. Thank you so much, guys. I really enjoy making this video for you guys. I hope you digged it. I hope I didn't bore you with statistics and numbers and stuff. I hope it was still fun. And good luck for the rest of your FPL. And good luck for Gameweek 7. Holla!